the goddess of wisdom and war that wields a sword and a shield. Athena is categorized as a tank or a warrior. Mainly, I say, as a warrior. So she basically ain't a typical meathead that just dives right into the fray without the fear of dying. Although this might be true, she can just turn tables around when she engages in battles, but you have to be strategic with your approach. That's why I'm here. This is Da Vinci, and welcome to the Genesis Hero Guide. Now let's talk about her skills. The Warrior's Wisdom, that's her first skill. She basically fires a shockwave directly ahead. It has an energy cost of 100 and the cooldown goes from 8 seconds to 5 seconds, as 8 seconds being the longest. This is good for clearing waves of creeps and securing kills when you're up against enemy heroes. At the early level, I would not recommend spamming this skill because it will drain your energy and might give you disadvantages at dire situations. Now to her second skill, Smite, which damages and stuns a targeted hero within the range. That's pretty much plain and simple. And her third skill, which is the Olympian Armor, a passive skill, which increases her armor by a set percentage. Also plain and simple. Now let's talk about her ultimate ability, the War Goddess, which actually makes Athena, Athena. By activating this skill, Athena will go into her War Goddess state, causing her to switch from melee attacks to ranged attacks and deal splash damage. What's beautiful about her ultimate is that it affects all your other skills. When she's in the War Goddess state, her first skill not only damages the enemies, also 35% of it is regained as health. Now, her second skill will now have an increased range, which makes it a lot easier to chase or lock down on one enemy and stun them from a range. Her third skill is even more helpful. The increase in armor is doubled, plus basic attacks are enhanced, dealing more damage and slowing the target. But wait, what's better is that it only lasts for 35 seconds. I mean, 35 seconds, that's long enough, considering that the cooldown is only 70 seconds. Now, if you go into the War Goddess state, after that, you just have to wait for another 35 seconds, then you can wreak havoc all over again. That's why you'll often see two types of Athena in Genesis. The shy type Athena, who's playing it safe because, well, she doesn't have her ultimate ready yet, and the fearless Athena, the fiery one who always charges onto battle the moment her ultimate is already activated. As for the skill build, here is the order. Max out your first, then your second, and lastly your third. Of course, get the ultimate ability as soon as it's available. Come on. Now as for the perks, I recommend getting progression then physical. Well, physical increases attack damage by 15, attack speed by 15%, and health by 150, but it's not that very effective or helpful in the early phase of the game. Athena doesn't mainly rely on her normal attacks, so you don't need that at all. That's why you should go for progression. Start at level 4 and get all her skills. Max out the first skill again, then you're good to go. You can engage on fights, defend your lane well, avoid being ganked, or even get a double kill. And so much more. You can basically play aggressively with progression, considering you're up against someone who didn't use the same perk. In the end, it's all up to you and how you play, but just know this, establishing a strong start is very important. Now on to the main part of this guide, the item build. Now, this is my personal preference. This is how I've studied and played Athena with. This might not be applicable to all situations, but this build helped me secure more wins. Before we talk about the build, I'd like to discuss this with you first. You know, Genesis Shop or the buying system is not that good. You can't have early game items that would help you big time at the start. The system would automatically pre-order the recommended core items for certain heroes. Not unless you cancel the auto purchase. Of course, that is an option, but also a hassle. So in this guide, we'll stick with auto purchase, but we just have to make some adjustments. Alright, so let's proceed. Your first item, the Star Hopper. After you buy the Star Hopper, don't focus on upgrading it right away. In MOBA games, like League of Legends or Dota, we don't prioritize getting the best boots out there as our first item. No. That is just not right. So what you need to do is manually pre-order the Alien Exosuit right after buying the Star Hopper. Because if you forget to do so, you will end up automatically buying unnecessary items that would delay your item build. In this game, the sooner you can build, the earlier you can pick up fights and win the game. Now your second item would be Alien Exosuit. This would be the first item you need to completely upgrade right after buying the Star Hopper. Why? Because of lifesteal. Lifesteal for me is very important. It helps you big time in laning. Without lifesteal, you would find yourself going back to the base and fort to your lane oftenly. Now I've tried all three lifesteal items with Athena. First, I thought it would be great to, let's get Devil's Mutation. You get 30 attack damage, 30 attack speed, and 17% lifesteal. Plus, when you activate it, you get an increase of 15% movement speed and 55% increased attack speed. And it actually lasts for 8 seconds, so thinking that's long enough actually. But I find it ineffective at team fights. Athena's role is to get rid of the big fish first, the carry of the other team. Mostly they are marksmen. You get rid of the marksman, then you got a pretty big chance of winning the clash. Problem is, marksmen are usually heavily protected. When you dive right into the fray and focus on the marksman and ignore the others, you'd pretty much die if the only thing you have is the Devil's Mutation. I also tried the Crimson Mask. Crimson Mask, however, is better because it has 45 attack damage, 25% lifesteal, 250 health, and 30 armor. And on top of that, when you activate it, it grants you a mad 150% lifesteal for either your next 8 basic attacks or 4 seconds. Problem with this is that Athena doesn't have a great base attack speed, and we won't prioritize getting items that would fill in that void. So that's why the Alien Exosuit is better, because it's well balanced. You got the 35 plus attack damage, you got the plus 15% attack speed, plus 200 health, plus 200 energy, and plus 17% lifesteal. And when you activate it, the effect is not too different from the Crimson Mask. You get 15% movement speed, 45% attack speed, plus you get a damage shield equal to 5% of your max health, and it lasts for 8 seconds too. So yeah, basically I've weighed all the options here, and this is tested. Alien Exosuit is the go-to first item. Next to that is your Medusa shield. So after you get an Alien Exosuit, you'd be pretty much engaged in team fights too often. Thus, getting the Medusa shield is a wise choice. Because again, when you dive into battle, you don't want to be immobilized too oftenly. Stun is too common of a skill here in the game, and the duration is crazy. Let's say you got Chris as an enemy, for example. That is one crazy kid. That gotta be nerfed. So get Medusa's shield right away so you can focus on slaughtering the carry first before they can do something about it. And be mindful because it only lasts for 5 seconds. So you gotta be quick. The next item is Quantum Jumpers. Finally, after the Exosuit and the shield, go for the jumpers. Let me explain why. Athena doesn't have any gap closing ability. No leaps, no blinks, no dashes. So getting the jumpers would greatly benefit Athena, if not make her perfect. You're wondering why not get the recommended magenta threads. Again, you got no leap, no blink, no dash. What do you plan to do? Chase him like a dog the whole time and depend on your ultimate ability for your stun's range to be increased? No, forget the threads. Go for the jumpers and you'll find yourself not being too needy of your ultimate ability just to stun an enemy. You can easily blink right in front of them and say, "Surprise, motherfucker," and stun him, fire shockwave, hit him for like 3 or 5 times, then fire shockwave again, and boom! It's just very beautiful. Right after you get these 3 items, you can now have the freedom to choose what's next. Because honestly, in my case, when I complete these 3 items, usually it's game over already. But if the fight is taking too long and you seem like you're winning, then go for the Rift Claymore for a great additional 70 attack damage and 20% attack speed. and it's even better because your basic attack has a chance of stunning the enemies. Then after that, you can either go for the Mark of Valor or Space Disruptor, and lastly, Eternal Grace for immortality. It depends on what the situation is, but believe me, games don't usually last that long if you started out strong and got the first 3 items in your inventory. So that's pretty much it. Check out my stream replays or watch my live broadcast to see that I mean business. And thank you guys for watching this video. This will be my first Genesis hero guide, and we'll definitely make another one next time. If you guys have any suggestions on who we should cover next time, drop a comment down below. Most mentioned hero will be the next. Again, this is Da Vinci, and thank you for watching the Genesis hero guide.